friends! This is actually the second time that I filmed this video. I filmed it about 2 weeks ago doing some dye stuff. Realized throughout the entire process that I did not have my microphone turned on. I had it plugged in, just not turned on. So this time I have double and triple checked to make sure that this mic is turned on, the light is on, it is going, so hopefully you can hear me. The video this week that I'm going to show you is about dyeing, specifically tie dyeing. So what I've done already is I've already filmed myself talking you through the steps of applying dye to a fabric. I've used some 100% cotton fabric, and I've used a polycotton blend fabric. The reason I've done that is I want to do this kind of scientific and show you kind of what it looks like when you dye something with there's 100% natural fiber like cotton versus something that has a synthetic fiber in it like polyester. Most of the dyes that you can buy are not made for dyeing polyester fabric. I have also done two of the same pieces of fabric. They're both 100% cotton flour sack towels. One of them I've soaked in a water and soda ash solution. The other one I've dyed from dry. So the one that is soaked in a water and soda ash solution, I am dyeing while it is still wet. So you'll see how the dye kind of soaks into the fabric differently than it does when it's dry. You will also see the end results will be a slightly bit different because of the soda ash. Now, what is soda ash, you might ask? I'm looking at my phone here so I can read like the exact chemical composition and stuff. Soda ash is a sodium carbonate, not sodium bicarbonate, sodium carbonate. That's Na2CO3. And what it does is people, why would you use this? It is something that's called a mordant or a dye fixative. What it does to a natural fiber like cotton is when it's soaked, it changes the pH balance of that fiber, and it allows the fiber to kind of, I'm gonna say, open up. What it does is it changes the pH balance, which allows the dye to sort of fix into that fiber a little bit more, opening up the fiber of the dye to kind of soak in and hold. It's what we also call it a dye fixative, and that's what it does. It kind of fixes the dye in there. I'm not saying you can't dye without it. I'm just saying you will see slightly different results if you use soda ash or a different kind of dye fixative or mordant than if you do not. Again, trying to do an experiment here. I've got one soaked in soda ash, one that is not. They're the exact same type of fabric, and I have twisted them and put them in the same sort of configuration as far as rubber bands go. I'm not showing any of that on camera. I don't really have the ability to kind of set my camera up so you can see my hands moving around and doing that. I have everything preset up, and you can just see me applying the dye. I will put in the stuff in the bottom in the description. I will put some information about soda ash, and so you can do your own research, and I will also put a link to a website where you can find different ways to fold and twist and make nodes and use the rubber bands and stuff for fabric so that you can kind of experiment on your own when you do decide to do dyeing. I am doing all of my dyeing inside today. I live in Texas, and it is July, so it is about 105 degrees outside, so I am not going outside today. I'm inside where I have a fan and my air conditioning. Some important things that you're going to need to know, I am always wearing gloves. I wear gloves when I am mixing the soda ash. I am wearing gloves while I am mixing the dye. I wear gloves when applying the dye. I'm wearing gloves when I move the tubs from my living room into my bathroom so I can close the door so my cat doesn't get to them. I wear gloves in the entire process, and I use several pairs of gloves often because dye will get on something you don't sometimes want to cross dye things over. I also wipe my hands, my gloved hands, constantly to get the dye off, so I'm not doing as much transferring of like blue to an area that I want to be pink or purple than an area that I want to be blue. Let's see. So I have some wash tubs set up, and that's what I am dyeing in. So in those wash tubs, I actually have some racks. They are plastic coated wire racks. The reason I'm using those is because I like the plastic coating, as metal can react to the fabric and the dye, and it can kind of create something that you're not quite wanting or expecting. That's the metal can oxidize. It doesn't usually take some time, but you don't want to really chance it. So the plastic is a non-reactive surface. And also use those is so to raise the fabric out of the tub. If you didn't do that, the fabric would sit in where the dye is collecting, which is the bottom of the tub. When you have it raised up on a small little rack, the dye drips down into the bottom of the tub, leaving the item on top to kind of dry and set in a way that doesn't make it really muddled. Let's see, I believe the dye that I used today was a tulip dye. I'm using 4 colors. I'm using a dark blue, a light blue, purple, and a pink. And I just bought them as parts of kits, and you just put water into the poured dye in a little like squeeze bottle. When you pour in the water, make sure you do it very slowly. Also, do not use hot water. The hot water kind of diminishes and kind of burns the dye. What you want to use is a lukewarm water is your best temperature to both dissolve all of the dyes as you shake it up and to kind of, I guess, make the dye bloom. Does that make sense? Kind of like activate it. So don't go too cold, don't go too hot. I've already, so mix all of that. I have all that set up, and I've gone and I filmed myself talking through it. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. I hope this video works out better than the last one did, and that my microphone works. So I'll see you guys in just a bit. It'll be about 11 minutes for you guys. I think that's how long it took for me to do the actual dyeing, but it will be at least 24 hours for me because the dye has to sit for at least 12 hours, and then I have to rinse it, and then I have to dry it. So after that, I will show you what the results look like, and I hope everybody enjoys this video. This is the flour sack towel that has been soaked in soda ash, and I'm going to use 4 different colors on it. There's also some, 2 pairs of socks, so I'm going to show you what the socks look like. So on the flour sack towels, I am going to use 4 different colors, a dark blue, a light blue, a purple, and a pink. And then on the socks and the handkerchiefs, I'm just going to use 3 colors. I'm going to use BIPOC colors, so the darker blue, the pink, and the purple, because I'm bi and I want to. So first thing we're going to do start with the lightest color first, which would technically be the pink. So I'm going to take the pink, and take the stopper off the top, and I'm going to pour it into this quadrant, where I kind of marked it off into quadrants with the rubber bands. So I'm going to do this side first, then I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the other side. I don't want to use all the dye on this. Get as saturated as you want to. If you have more dye than I do, you can always do more. But it also depends on how much white you want to have left over. So I used about 2/3 of the bottle on that. That'll be good to use another third on the other flour sack towel, and then use another 1/3 or so on the handkerchiefs and the socks. I'm also going to wipe my hands off, even though I am wearing gloves, because I'm going to go to a different color. I'm going to go to the light blue. Sure, why not? Same thing, I'm going to start on one side, go into the quadrant. You'll notice that because this flour sack towel is already wet, the colors will start blending together very, very quickly, because this is already saturated with water. Alright, there's our lighter blue. I'm going to flip it to the other side. Let's see if you can see that. There we go. And the reason I have this on a rack, this is actually a plate rack for like extending your shelves, is because when I just apply the dye to the fabric, it drops into a tub below it, so that the item doesn't actually reabsorb the dye. So the dye will just drop into this tub, kind of creating a way for it to not turn into like a brownish kind of color. Alright, now I'm going to go with the dark blue on the other side of the pink. And really, with dyeing things, there isn't a whole lot of rhyme or reason. There, I almost tipped my camera over. I'm still so new to this. Not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to what's going on. I'm not going to try to get like a full saturation here. I do want to have some white showing through to get that real good tie-dye effect. I'm going to wipe my hands off again. In between each color I'm using, I'm just wiping my hands. Again, gloved hands, very important on a paper towel. Now I'm going to do the purple. This is going to be pretty small, our purple spot here, but that's okay. Again, we are tie-dyeing. Things just kind of happen as they will. And on this one, I'm going to turn it up and just kind of get the sides, because just pouring it on here isn't going to get the sides really well. I'm going to leave that there. And then I'm going to, just going to situate this here. I'll get to the socks in just a minute. I am going to bring over the dry flour sack towel. Let me move this. I'm going to wipe this off so I can get that dye off. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you apply dye to a dry 100% piece of cotton. So same thing, I'm going to start with the pink. And you'll notice when I start with the pink here, it absorbs a lot more and it doesn't spread quite as much because this fabric is dry. It isn't already pre-saturated with water and the soda ash solution like I had for the first one. Oop. You're going to get maybe some splatters and splashes of different colors off of your gloves, off of the bottles themselves. I say go for it, go with it, because you're tie-dyeing something. You never quite know what's going to happen. So I say happy accidents are the best things. So we're going to move. I am going to still keep wiping my hands off in between on a paper towel. We'll do the light blue. We'll do it on this side. And you notice how this one doesn't drip quite as much because all of the dye is really being absorbed into the dry cloth as opposed to the wet one. There's only so much liquid it can hold. All right, we're going to do a big dark blue one on here. I'm going to use a lot of the dark blue because I don't plan on using it on anything else. So I'm going to get this one nice and saturated. And you can do it where you only do one side. You don't have to do all the sides. You don't have to turn it around. You can just do one side and see what happens if it soaks through all the way. It's really experimentation. Tie-dyeing or dyeing is both art and science. So I'm just going to empty all the rest of this, almost all the rest of the dark blue in there, and we'll see what happens when it soaks through. Next thing I'm going to do, and the last one on this, is going to be the purple. So again, I'm going to turn this to the other side. I like to hold the bottle really close to the fabric so there's not as much splashback. There we go. So I've got 2 flour sack towels, 100% cotton. The first one I did was soaked for about 20 minutes in a water and soda ash solution. The second one I did dry. I did fold them the same way with the twisting, and we used all of the same dye and everything on them. They're folded the same way, same amount of rubber bands. So we'll see what happens after they dry and set, what they look like. I'm going to switch out the tub, so I'm going to move this tub over here and bring this other tub over. And on this one, I have 2 small handkerchiefs and 2 pairs of socks. Now, the reason I wanted to do the socks is I want to show you what it looks like when you dye something that is not 100% cotton. All of the other items that we're doing today are 100% cotton. These socks are poly cotton blend. So I'll show you. You see here how the dye doesn't even go into the sock. It takes a long time. It kind of creates these droplets. If you want to get the dye in, you have to hold it in like this and let it sit and soak for a lot longer, because that is because of the polyester. That polyester does not want to absorb the dye. So we'll see what happens with this. We'll let it sit and absorb. Let's see. Let's do the other one. I'm not going to try let's move that one over here. On the socks, I'm not going to try to get them super saturated because I already know that the dye won't accept quite as well because it's not 100% cotton. It is a poly cotton blend. But, you know, we're experimenting. We're scientists. We're artist-scientists. On this one, I'm just kind of do some droplets and let it just kind of sit and absorb. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Let's do some dark blue on here, since we have a little bit of it left. Oops. let's see if you can actually get, I can actually get it to where you can see this, how I'm actually putting the nozzle into the sock. So this absorbs a lot more, and it still runs off. There are dyes that you can use that are made for polyester and synthetic fabrics. If you are dyeing something that has polyester or some other sort of synthetic fiber in it, you will want to use those dyes, as those will actually they will actually stay in the fabric a lot better and make your dye project work a lot better. All right, we are out of dark blue dye. I'm going to put the lid on and put it over here. I'm going to do one more. You know what? I'm going to leave the socks as it is. Pink and dark blue on there. So now I'm going to bring up these are dry. These are also 100% cotton. These are little tiny handkerchiefs. And for these, I'm just going to make them sort of bi-pride colors. So you'll see again how much faster and how much better this absorbs that dye than the cotton poly blend. It doesn't bead up. Just goes straight into the fabric. And on this one, I'm not going to flip it. I'm just going to leave it on this side, and I'm going to put, there we go, that in here. And then I'm going to do the same on this one. Again, I'm not going to flip this one over. I'm just going to let gravity do its business. And we're going to see what happens the next few hours. I always like to let my dye projects sit for at least 12 hours. I believe the package will say at least 6. I like to do longer. So now I'm going to do the pink on the other side, because again we're doing like bi-pride, pink on one side, blue on the other side, purple in the middle. So same thing, I'm not going to flip it over. I like to let my dye projects sit for at least 12 hours, if not longer, if I go up to 24, just to let the dye have its best chance of absorbing into the fabric before rinsing and then drying it. It's the drying that really sets in the dye. So now I'm going to move on to the last color, which is purple. I'm going to put this in the middle. I'm going to really get it saturated. Because again, I always like, even though I've been dyeing for a very long time, I always like seeing what happens. I always like seeing the, again, happy accidents, because tie-dyeing is not an exact art. Dyeing in itself, unless you're dyeing a full piece of fabric one color, is not going to probably, ooh, that one got really saturated because the dye is just dripping into that tub. I'm going to sprinkle some more on the socks. There we go. Alright, I have used up almost every ounce of the dye that I have. So I'm going to let these set. I'm not going to leave them to set here in my living room. I'm going to move them into my bathroom so I can close the door so my cat cannot knock them over or try to drink this dye. So after 12 to 24 hours, I'm going to come back. I'm going to rinse these, and then I'm going to dry them, and I will show you what the results look like. And we're back. It's been over 24 hours for me, and the process is complete. I have finished products over here to my left, and it's been about 11 minutes for you guys as I walk you through the dyeing process. One thing I forgot to mention is all of these items were pre-washed and dried using regular washing techniques, soap, water, dried in the dryer. The reason you want to have pre-washed items is because there's a thing in fabric when you buy it, even if you buy it just from the fabric store, or if you buy items, and it's called sizing. It's kind of a preservative sort of thing. I don't know exactly. It's like a stiffener, and it's just supposed to make fabric look nicer, but before you dye, you want to get that chemical out and off. So pre-wash, and also with the cotton, you want to make sure everything shrinks down before you wash it again. So everything was pre-washed, pre-dried, and then if it was something that, like the first flour sack towel that I put in the soda ash solution, then it was put in there re-wet. So I'm going to take you through the items that we dyed. First thing I'm going to show you are the 2 little 100% cotton handkerchiefs. These I'm actually really pleased with. Woo! You can't see me, but that's fine. So this one I just kind of rolled up and did some different strips and stripes. So we've got like kind of a bi-pride colors going on here. This one I did an interesting, like, folding in at the corners and then folding it in again, but really nice, pretty vibrant blue, purple, and pink by Pride colors. Also, you could call it a like a nebula or a galaxy color with this. The next one I'm going to show you is the flour sack towel that I dyed from dry. Now, this is the one, it's going to have a lot of dark blue. Apparently, there's a lot of dark blue on this. But you see the technique that I used from making that kind of cake and spiraling it creates the kind of classic spiral that people would expect from tie-dye. This one, again, a lot of dark blue. There is some pink that you can tell is very pink over here on one side. I didn't use a whole lot on here, but I'm still really pleased with this. One thing you'll notice from this one is because it was dyed from dry, not from wet, the colors kind of stayed in one area. They didn't spread a huge amount, so the pink kind of stayed as pink little blobs. We've got pink over here. There was a little bit of color mixing that's going to happen, especially with cotton, but they stayed pretty much in one area because it was dyed from dry. The next one I'm going to show you is the one that was soaked in the soda ash solution, and it was wet when we did it. This one is actually my favorite out of all of the items that I've dyed today. I used, again, same technique. And here's the spiral. I really like this one. If you notice on this one, it's more striated and less like blobs. And that is partially oh, hi, Sekhmet. Everybody, that's Sekhmet. Everybody say hi. That's Sekhmet. I'm not going to edit that out because she's super cute. And this is what happens when you are new to making YouTube. So if you notice on this one, instead of kind of having blobs of color, where it was just kind of like put on and kind of stayed in one place, these spread out more and there's more striations and stripes, so the colors mix just a tiny bit. This one has a little bit more pink on it. It looks very by Pridey, and so with this one I'm actually probably going to use this fabric to make a dice bag for myself because it's very by Pridey and I need a new dice bag. So I'm making one for myself out of this. The last thing I want to show you, because these are the socks, one of the pairs of socks. So everything I've shown you up to now, the 2 flour sack towels and the handkerchiefs were 100% cotton. You saw how lovely and vibrant and beautiful those colors were and how those colors and those dyes really stuck in that cotton. I'm going to show you the socks. This is the exact same dye. It was used the exact same time. Pre-washed fabric. It stayed on the exact same amount of time. When I rinsed, this just kind of turned into a weird gray sock. And it's the blue and the purple and the pink. That is because this is mostly a synthetic fabric. And that synthetic fabric does not take dye well. If you want to do that, you can. Tulip and Rit and a few other companies make dyes for synthetic fabrics. If you are dyeing something that is mostly synthetic, make sure you buy synthetic dye. If you're dyeing something out of cotton, or that is mostly cotton, so it's like 97% cotton, 3% spandex, you're still going to be pretty good because that 97%, that cotton is really going to soak everything in. Use your regular dyes that you can find even at the grocery store in the laundry area, like the Rit dyes and stuff like that. If you're dyeing another natural fabric like wool, that will also hold on. It is an animal fiber, it is not a plant fiber, so if you are planning on using soda ash, it acts differently because it's an animal fiber, not a plant fiber. The other plant fibers are bamboo and linen. Bamboo is a little bit more like cotton, and it takes dye pretty well. Linen takes dye better than, say, a synthetic fabric, but it also, because it's really hard to get bright white linen, it's going to start, most of your linen is going to start off as like an ecru tan color, and so you're going to have a difference as opposed to putting a purple or a pink or any color really on an ecru as opposed to doing on a bright white like the cotton that I've used. Also, linen's just a little bit more finicky as far as what it takes for heat and stuff like that. So generally with your linens, the colors aren't going to come out quite as vibrant. They're not going to stay quite as well, but it is completely doable. So that's kind of the end of this. Again, I'm going to put in the the description. I'm going to put some links to information about what soda ash is, just some links to some places that show you how to do different folding techniques and spinning techniques and where to put the rubber bands and all that stuff. I recommend just playing with things. Go buy some flour sack towels or go buy 2 yards of 100% cotton muslin, wash them, cut up the muslin pieces into 3-4 pieces, and just try things out. Get a bag of rubber bands, get some dye, and try things. I have to do all of my dyeing, again, in my apartment. First of all, I live in an apartment. I don't have a front yard. I have a little patio, so I can't, like, set out a big table and do all these, like, sprays with the water hose and stuff like that, because, again, in an apartment. Also, it's July in Texas, and it's 100 and something degrees out right now, and I love being outside, but not enough to do that. So, ooh, my hair looks interesting. So I hope everybody kind of learned something, maybe, I don't know, or at least, at the very least, enjoyed me kind of rambling through this. I'm going to try to keep doing these. I might do another dyeing one where I do start with like a ecru or a tan muslin, or if I find some bamboo fabric or some linen fabric and show you the differences on that. Maybe I'll do a dye using synthetic fabric and show you the difference between, like, we can actually get some brights in like a pair of socks like this. Let's see, I'm also, tell me what you want me to see me do. What do you want me to see me do as far as like making things and crafting? Sewing, do you want to see basics of a sewing kit? Do you want to see what a, let's see, doing how to make something, how to make a tote bag? You know, just basic stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm going to work on right now, is just doing basic things. So this is kind of a freewheeling, fun thing that I'm trying for myself. Oh, yeah, I'm not wearing any makeup today. I just took a shower, and I was like, no, I'm not going to put makeup on my face just to wash my face again. So you get unadulterated, pure Sarah right now. Also, my hair is still wet, so it's up in a bun with one of my hair sticks. So that my mom got me at Texas Renaissance Festival. Thanks, Mom. It's got rainbows on it. So speaking of rainbows, Pride Month was last month. I've got some dye projects in my bathtub right now, trying to dye different ones. I've got some non-binary, got trans, I've got pan and demi/ace, because they're the same colors of the black and gray and white and purple. So we'll see how those go, using all of this dye that I have left over from the things that I bought. So I had some leftover flour sack towels and leftover muslin. So we'll see how those turn out, and those will probably get turned into dice bags as well. And speaking of dice bags, I make dice bags and I sell them on the internet. I'll put my Etsy shop in the description as well. I don't have any of the hand-dyed stuff on there yet because I just had that idea of making them this weekend. So soon, coming soon, shall be Pride Flag dice bags, or Pride Flag colors dice bags anyway. Thanks for sticking with me through this, and yeah, see you guys soon-ish, I guess.